very, very powerful experience. It was a very, it was an experience that really brought us together as a company, and really very affirmational for a lot of people that work in the business. And for me, it was in particular a great experience, I think in part because of my height and because of just my profile here at the Louisville track. It's very, very hard to get unfiltered information when I walk around the operations, because they know who I am, and they're watching their P's and Q's a little bit more, and they're like that?
Just take it out.
Oh. Sorry, is that better? Okay, I'm sorry about that. From up here, it's just a wall of noise, so I can't. Sounds good to me. I mean, maybe you're lucky in the back not to hear all this. So it turned out to be a really powerful experience. And for me, the biggest takeaway is I learned sort of the critical advantage for my own company, Churchill Downs. And the advantage is a lot of the people, most of the people that work in our company are there because they want to be. So many of them want to work at Churchill Downs. They want to work in the industry. So there's an element of passion that is really present in our workforce that for me is our greatest advantage. It's our greatest advantage. And I can only hope that for those of you here in the room, as you make your journey through additional career developments or new careers, that you find a place that you want to be, because it makes all the difference. Nobody has an easy work experience. Nobody has a great day every day. And sometimes when overall you can look back and say, I like being here, this is what I want to do, it helps get you over the tough days that are there for everybody. So those are the first two things I wanted to talk about. Now topic 3, what is a company and how should it view its employees? Here in Louisville, Churchill Downs, of course, very high profile, so I'm constantly reading about us in the newspaper. And it's always Churchill wants to do this, and Churchill is doing this, doing that, doing this, feels that. And I always wonder, who is Churchill? What do they think Churchill Downs is? Do they think there is an actual heartbeat somewhere in the building? Do they think there is a being called Churchill Downs? Because there isn't. Churchill Downs is an iconic, historic company, but it's a collection of people. And the people have changed over time, but it's still a collection of people. And it's people like the people in this room. It's people with mortgage payments. It's people with car payments. It's people trying to pay for their kids to go to camp or to college. It's just a collection of people. And my job, despite the fact I described it a minute ago, is focused on different divisions and television stations and casinos. My job really is people. That's what I spend my time doing. My job is to teach, invest, grow, challenge, provide opportunity, and push our people and hopefully give them a satisfactory work experience so that as a company, we're as good as we can be. We are solely a function of the efforts, the talents, the training, and the commitment of the people that work at the company. So sometimes I think of my job as operating different facilities, but then I'm always brought right back down to work. My job, or right back down to reality. My job is to focus on the people that work in our company. And I tried, as I thought about what to say today to this group, I try to think about what's my day like? What do I spend my time doing? Would you all find that interesting? So I went through and I calculated that I spent about roughly 50% of my time in meetings with people that I work with. So 50% of my day, people get time on my calendar and we sit down and we talk about what they're working on, what their teams need, how their teams are working, what their goals ought to be. I spend another 25% of my time just sitting there thinking about our teams and our people, thinking about what it is I want to say to them when I'm in meetings with them, thinking about what input I want to give them about their job and also what questions I need to ask them about their experiences. And I'd say the other 25% of my time I actually do work. And that's one of the reasons, that's not a lot of time to get my work done, and that's one of the reasons I have to use these index cards, and I don't have a fancy PowerPoint to put up in front of you guys, because I can barely do those things. I'm too busy working on other things to catch up with the time. Fourth category of discussion for today is I'm going to do my best to offer some advice that might be helpful. And I'm basing that advice on people that I know and that I've talked to in my own experiences of being in the workforce for 20 years or so. And I interview people a lot, and it's one of the things I like to do. I don't just interview the people that are going to work with me directly. I like to interview when I can, when I have time. I like to interview the 22-year-olds that are just starting. I like to meet as many people as possible that are going to join our company. So I wanted to talk a bit about that. Here's what I think employers are thinking about when somebody comes in for an interview. This is what I'm thinking about, and this is what I think generally employers are thinking about. And it may not be what you think. I'm thinking, are they prepared for this interview? And I don't mean that in the sense that they've looked you up online to learn where your hometown is. I mean, are they prepared to use the time in this interview to get smarter and to get better? Do they have good questions? Are they trying to use this time constructively? Or are they using this time with dread to just get to the end of it, to treat it as some sort of a trip to the dentist? That's not good. Use the time whenever you're interviewing with somebody. Use the time to get smarter. Use the time to get better. Think about what questions you want to genuinely ask them that will help you, and whether you get this job or some other job, will help you get a better frame of reference for your employment opportunities. Often I'm not thinking about the resume itself, and I've got it easier than some because there's already an expectation that the resume is sufficient for the job that the person is interviewed. But I think the challenge really on the resume part starts with you folks. It's great to dream. It's great to shoot for the sky, but you got to break life up into bits and pieces. You got to think about not always, there's an old expression, success is a journey, it's not a destination. So you got to break up your plans into steps. You got to think about what steps you need to take to get to your eventual goals. You can't just say, my goal is to be an astronaut, and show up at NASA and interview to be an astronaut. You got to think about the steps that come first to put you in a position. You got to think about your pathway. So when I'm sitting there, and I think when most employers are meeting with folks, I do spend time looking at the resume. I use it as an opportunity to learn about the person and ask questions. But in terms of qualifications, usually I'm assuming that if I'm seeing them, that they've already passed that minimum hurdle. So when I'm with it, and when I think most employers are thinking, is they're thinking, how's this person going to fit in? Are they a worker? Are they a learner? Are they going to be a good part of our team? Are they going to make the team better? Not just are they going to be an individual contributor, but how are they going to fit in with the people here? What's their attitude? What's their demeanor? How are they going to work with the team? Generally, how do I think the person can help the company? And I'll give you a quick story. I'm only going to tell a couple stories here and there. But one of my favorite things to do is watch my son play in his Little League baseball team. He's 10 years old, plays in St. Matthews. I go to as many of the practices and the games as my schedule will afford. And the reason I in particular love watching that is we lose something when we're adults. When you see a 10-year-old go up there and strike out, they'll have tears coming down their face, but 20 minutes later they get back up there and try again. Well, sometimes as adults, we lose that. Sometimes as adults, we forget to try again. We forget that part of life is anticipating and expecting failure and figuring out how it is you're going to deal with it. I mean, everybody gets knocked down. What I like to do when I interview with people is I like to ask them about that. What are your challenges? What have you had to overcome professionally? What have you had to overcome personally that shows us who you are as a person? How have you beaten the odds? How have you gotten back up when you've been knocked back down? Those are the kind of things I focus on, and I think a lot of employers focus on, because we're trying to get a sense of what kind of person are we talking to who we're thinking about having join our team. What I hear that I don't like, what I think most employers don't like to hear, are things like, I want to run the company. I want to be president of the United States. I want to be, words are cheap. People confuse talk with ambition. Ambition isn't talk, ambition is work. Ambition is planning. Ambition is being organized and disciplined over a period of